What's going on? It's Sailboat of Sailboat Sneakers here, back at you with another episode of Sailboat's Restorations. In this restoration video, I'm going to only be working on one specific pair. This is a pair of Air Jordan 9 Barons. Typically, I'm not a really big fan of 9s. However, this colorway is actually one of the more appealing ones in my opinion. Let's take a quick look at the before so we can talk about the restoration work that's going to go into this pair of kicks. Quick look at these kicks here reveals that the uppers themselves are pretty damn dirty. They definitely need a good deep clean and a nice little scrub down. The midsole paint actually looks okay, but there's a few spots where there's a little bit of wear and tear, and if it looks like it's starting to crack on the medial aspect, I'll probably just go ahead and repaint the midsoles too. It's good practice. Coming over to the medial side here, you can tell that there is a little bit of cracking within the paint, so it may be worth it to strip the midsoles and go ahead and repaint them. A little bit of a scuff back here, but the uppers, not in awful condition. The midsoles are just a little bit more worn. Check out the soles here. Pretty good amount of drag, which obviously I can't fix anything about that, but you will notice that they are a bit dirty and definitely have some yellowing going on. I'm going to be using a couple of different sole sauces to help to get these a little bit less yellow and give them a nice deep clean with a repaint as well. A little bit of work needs to go into these, but they're going to turn out really nicely as long as I put in a little bit of time and effort. First thing that we got to do is clean these bad boys up. So let's get into the deep clean.
MTCB.
Now that I've got these Jordan 9 Barons all clean, they're actually looking really good, and the midsoles are actually in a lot better condition than I had previously anticipated. I think that I'm going to have a lot less work in my future than I previously thought. Taking a quick look, you can see the midsole is actually cleaned up pretty nice, and minus a couple of little marks where there might be a tiny little scuff, I don't see any spots in the paint that looked damaged beyond just your typical kind of wear. So that's excellent news. The uppers are looking pretty damn nice. A little bit of creasing going on. Nothing too severe. Overall, they look really good though. Now, as we go on to the outsole here, you can tell that there's definitely a substantial amount of yellowing. So this is the next portion of the project that I'm about to do, is de-yellow these outsoles. I'm gonna be using a couple different products to find out which works best on this kind of white rubber material, because normally I do this on more translucent sort of soles. Bringing it over to the medial aspect here, you can tell everything looks real good. It cleaned up real nice. Now all I gotta do is ice these and see where they're at. Maybe work some of the creases out. But overall, this is gonna be a quicker restoration process than I had previously thought, which is awesome news. Let's get into the icing process right now though. For this comparison, I'm going to be utilizing Chris Custom Kicks on the right shoe. I'm going to be using Bash Boy Kicks Frost Sauce on the left shoe. I've never used the frost sauce on any sort of white rubber before. I've only used it on clear or translucent or kind of icy type of surfaces, which is why I want to give it a shot on the white rubber to see if it'll have a similar effect. So it's been about 48 hours now for these Jordan 9 Barons. We gotta go ahead, get them cleaned down, and take a look after what a 48-hour session does. Now that we got the outsoles wiped down, gotta take a look and compare. The right shoe here, again treated with Chris Custom Kicks. The left shoe was treated with Bash Boy Kicks Frost Sauce. As you can tell, both of the shoes cleaned up pretty substantially and are looking a lot better than where we began as far as yellowing. Coming over to the toe, you can see that the Chris Custom Kicks seem to do a little bit of a better job for the lateral pods here. On the left shoe here, the Bash Boy Kicks looks like it did a slightly better job than the Chris Custom Kicks. But if we go to the actual outsole, You can tell that the Chris Custom Kicks definitely looks like it did a slightly better job. And lastly, coming over to the medial aspect, they look to have done about even of a job at brightening things up. Actual outsole itself with the most surface area, I would have to say that the Chris Custom Kicks sole sauce did a slightly better job than the Bash Boy Kicks frost sauce. Both of them, again, accomplished exactly what they set out to do. It just seems like the Chris Custom Kick sauce worked a little bit faster to get there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these back in my indoor setup for one more 48-hour session. So it's been another 48 hours. Let's get these outsoles cleaned off and then we'll get down into the nitty-gritty. We are at the final comparison of these outsoles after 48 hours of total ice time in my indoor setup. I've done a significant amount of de-yellowing on the outsoles, so let's take a quick look before I get into the final portion of the restoration of this pair. As you can tell, immediately looking at the toe cap here, it's nice and white in comparison to that kind of yellow tint that it had before. Flipping to the outsole, you can see that both the right and left shoe are looking a lot better than what they looked like before. The right shoe here was treated using Chris Custom Kicks sole sauce. The left outsole was treated using Bash Boy Kicks frost sauce. Both of these products are absolutely wonderful and you can find them both on Instagram. They'll be linked into the bio of this video, but I am incredibly happy with the way that both of these kicks turned out. Overall, this restoration is going a little bit more quickly than I previously anticipated because I thought that I was going to have to do a complete repaint, but overall they're looking really, really good and I'm excited to see what the final results are so we can get some pictures and get these things up for sale. Let's get them cleaned down and then we'll get those creases out and take one final look. So here we are. It's about time that I finish up and get these creases out so they are in as prime time condition as they can be. I got myself here my very first clothing iron. I've never owned a clothing iron before. I'm a little bit excited, but I'm also a little bit kind of worried since it's heat and you can definitely fuck shit up with one of these if you use it wrong. I'm about to go through the learning process, so let's just get down to it. The next step that I need to undergo with this process is to stuff up these kicks to try and get the creases pressed out as much as possible before I go ahead and iron them out. I'm going to be using these old shopping bags here because I got 100 of them at the house.
Purchase your tracks today.
Now that we got these completely stuffed, we'll take a quick look. You can see that the creases here on the toe box have almost worked their way completely out. These creases here on the lateral aspect have actually worked out pretty good too. The only thing that I couldn't really get to work out the way that I wanted to was these medial creases here, and these are real bad. I got my iron on now. I'm just waiting for it to heat up. What I have to do, get my towel here, get this a little bit damp, and create a nice damp surface from which I can iron on so that I don't have to apply the heat directly onto the sneakers. Got my nice damp towel and my iron is just about heated up. So let's get down to business and get these creases out of these Jordan 9s. So I've worked out a lot of the different wrinkles on this pair here. However, I don't think there's any way that I'm going to be able to get out some of this creasing, especially on the medial portion of the uppers. The creasing is just so bad. I would have to go through some crazy lengths if I wanted to get the creases on the mid portion of the uppers out, and I just don't think I have the time for that. I think that these are looking great as they are, but let's take a quick look right now, immediately after the ironing. So you can see at the toe box here, especially especially on the lateral side, that a lot of the creases were worked out pretty nicely. Once we get up to the actual eyelets, you can see that the creasing is just pretty damn bad, and it's gonna be very difficult to get out all the way. The other side, looking pretty solid. The one part that didn't work out so well were the creases at the medial aspect of the shoes right here. Now those are just really, really severe, and I don't know that I'm gonna be able to work them out any more than I already have. Overall, they look a bit better. What I'm gonna do is let these kicks sit for the next 24 hours, completely stuffed, so that everything can kind of settle into place. We'll unstuff the shoes and take one final look at them before I take some pictures and get these guys up on the marketplace for sale. So it's been about 24 hours after I ironed out these kicks. It's about time to see what the final product looks like on this little mini restoration project. Plastic bags are out of the shoes, and this right here is the final product. We started off with this dirty ass pair of Jordan 9 Barons. Cleaned them up, got them looking nice and crispy, getting all the dirt and scum off of them. The next thing that we had to do was de-yellow the soles. As you can tell, they didn't become 100% white, but they're definitely looking a lot better than where they started off. Because when they started off, boy, were these yellowed out. Keep in mind that white rubber always tends to turn yellow a little bit more quickly too after it's been de-yellowed, but it'll still have a little bit of time looking nice and crispy. The last part of this project was working out some of these creases that were in the toe box of both sneakers. Now obviously I didn't get this 100%, but it definitely looks substantially better than where we started. The most challenging part was of course the medial aspect of the uppers on both sides, which seemed to be creased out really, really substantially. Overall, for some light work, these things definitely look a lot better. I think that this is going to increase the value by at least a few dollars, and I think that the time and effort that I put into the restoration was probably well worth the increase in the profit that I'll see on this pair. These will be up pretty soon on the website for sale, so make sure that you're checking out www.sailboatsneakers.com, and you can also find me on social media at sailboats.sneakers on Instagram, at sailboatsneaks on Twitter, and you can even find me on Facebook too, if anybody even still uses Facebook these days. Really appreciate you guys coming through and checking out this quick little restoration video. Sailboat, and I'm out of here.